and we'll stick to the schedule. 8 people. Okay, a couple people are still straggling in. Yep, it's me right here.
All right, good. So we're just trying to scope out ourselves.
Okay, yeah. Are you guys going to be attending?
Yes.
Okay, great. And let me just get up and see how many people have technology with them. Okay.
It's your choice. I'm looking for the switch to turn on.
Oh, no worries.
My from birth technology that was in my head.
Okay.
That's the technology I have right now. But
Okay, good.
this dear friend is here.
All right. Did you see if there's anybody out in the live audience yet or not?
Yeah, we're some people having a slow on the stairs.
Pardon me?
Yeah, we're some people having a slow time with the stairs.
Oh, okay. Should I wait like 2 or 3 minutes? All right. Why don't we just start with a little bit of the housekeeping and introductions then, because that's the stuff that can just kind of fall by the wayside later. Just while I'm Leanne St. Laurent. I work in the Manchester School District, but I work with the IT department now. Back in 1997, when I started in Manchester, I was an ESL teacher. And I was in the ESL classroom for a number of years up until 2008, both in the resource room as well as in our newcomer magnet program. As you know, Manchester is the largest school district in New Hampshire, and we have a lot of students in Manchester. Anybody ever work in Manchester School District who's in this room? Or what's your name?
Natalie.
Natalie. What's your last name?
Gia.
Oh, okay. I just don't, to see if I could recognize anybody that's been through the Manchester School District. In 2008, I moved into a position as a technology integrator because I loved using technology with students in the classroom. Way back in the early 90s, we were doing things like having kids type in a word processor and then taking pictures with cameras because I didn't have a digital camera yet. We would actually paste our photographs into what the kids typed. But whenever they touched a computer, they were just always so excited about doing the work and very, very engaged and took a lot of ownership in what we were working on. So in 2008, I became a technology integrator, and I now work at the district level. I am no longer in the classroom. So some of the accounts that I have here are just demo accounts. You won't see a lot of action in some of them because I don't have full classes set up. I do have a mini class set up for one of our activities. So I hope that you who have technology with you will play along. And I see a lot of people who don't have an iPad or a Chromebook or a laptop with them. If you do have a phone, hopefully that you can browse along and smartphone. I do have a link up here if you want to follow along with the live slides. So if you go to this short URL, it is case sensitive. It's a Google URL shortener, so it's goo.go/ and then that little set of letters, and that will bring you up to this same presentation. Yes?
I understand from what was stated in the large meeting that we had come from earlier, that this was going to be this presentation, if I understood, for a YouTube.
It is.
That is not what this is needed for. This would be if I had a little toy right here to use.
Yeah, so what they said that this says that it's being streamed
Yes.
to YouTube. So viewers can go to YouTube Live and we may have people sitting remotely.
And we have one adult educator watching this broadcast remotely right now.
Uh-huh.
Through
And,
YouTube. So
through
that
YouTube.
person can also, if they're just seeing me, or I'm not sure what they're seeing on YouTube because I'm moving around a little bit, and I apologize, Tiffany, I didn't realize this was being live streamed today. So just like I talk with my hands, I move with my body. I have a very difficult time sitting in a seat and staying in one spot in a chair for longer than 2 minutes.
So I think primarily we'll
yeah.
have it focused on the screen
Great.
where you'll be doing
Great.
most of your work.
So anybody who is sitting here can go to this URL, and you will have the live set of slides that are public, and you can go back and come back to this and refer to it anytime you like. When you click a link in the slide, it will be active and take you to wherever it is linked to in that slide. So that's just that title page.
Is that gonna persist? Can we go back to that?
Yes, you can. Yep, that's a
Can we go
permanent.
back so that we can
Yes, I
copy it
can.
down?
Yep, let me just go back.
And on this YouTube that I understand is being streamed live after 3 days from now or 3 weeks from now.
That's
going
correct.
to be
It will
available
be
in-
archived, and you
Okay.
can go back and watch it. Yes, that's
Thank you.
correct. Yeah. So we just have and just I just broke my pen. Just for me to kind of get a feel, because I, as a technology person and having people come to a technology workshop, I was kind of expecting everyone to have some kind of technology in front of them. But let me just get your comfort level with technology real quick before we do get started. If you are super fine with technology, give me a thumbs up. If you're kind of okay and you go along, or if you're kind of like a little bit of a struggler, let me just see if there's any strugglers here. Not really. Everybody's kind of good and in the middle. So. Okay, that's great. But if anybody does have a question, please do feel free to stop me as we go along. I'd like to preface what we're going to start with this. I'm going to be giving you about 10 different things today. And some of these things that I show to you might speak to you a lot, and you're like, wow, when I get back to school on Monday or adult ed class or whatever, I want to try this out because this is something that this is really easy, and I'm going to take this away and I'm going to run with it tomorrow. Other things are a little more complex, and it might require a little more digging from you on your part, because I'm not going to be showing you every single button push. I'm going to show you some ideas, and it is your job after the fact to take it and extend your learning, try it out. And with any technology, I always kind of take the analogy and say that using technology, or even if you're a proficient technology user and you're using a new platform, you're not an expert right away. No one is ever an expert on the first time around. It always takes practice and repeated use so that you develop the automaticity with the tools. Just like kids, when they come in to first grade and they don't know the alphabet yet, and you throw some letters at them and some sight words, and do you think they're going to be fluent? No, they have to learn the alphabet. They have to climb that ladder of skills. They need to learn some sight words. They need to learn reading sentences, and then they practice for fluency as they become readers. It doesn't happen overnight. They have to keep coming back to it. And just throwing that in for ESL, especially with, if anybody's, I'm not sure how many people are ESL here or EL or just straight adult ed, but adult learners who struggle, even with reading, need to go through that same step of acquiring literacy, and you can't miss a rung on the ladder. If you don't know your letters and their sounds, you can't become a fluent reader. So we always have to start. But I'm going to give you ideas, and you will be doing some digging after the fact. And I'm going to, just to remind us of that, I'm going to, I made this my transition slide between all of the little steps and tools that we'll be looking at today. So, this is, I love Google, and I use Google Forms a lot, which is kind of like SurveyMonkey. Is everybody familiar with SurveyMonkey? I see a lot of nodding. Is anybody familiar with Google Forms? Some people are nodding their heads. Google Forms let you create surveys and assessments. And our school district is a Google for Education school district. But I picked Socrative to show people a tool for setting up assessments and gathering information from students, because not everybody who's in this room might have a Google account or not. Socrative is a tool that anybody can sign up for. And what I love about Socrative is that it's the one tool that looks the same on my Android phone, on an iPad, on a Chromebook, on my desktop. The interface looks the same everywhere. And I see some people nodding. Are you familiar with the tool?
I've seen it before.
You've seen it before, yeah. It's awesome. So it's really great, because nothing annoys me more than being really, really familiar with a platform, and then I pull it up in the app on my phone or on my iPad, and it looks totally different. That's annoying for me. It's just like, oh, I expected to see this, and it looks different. So Socrative looks the same everywhere you go. And there's a link for it. So what it is, it's a free student response system that works on any device. You can create quick questions, quiz and options, and use it for formative and summative assessment. But you can use a tool like this for even more things. So how many people use exit tickets in the classroom? Would you explain what an exit ticket is?
It's a quick, ticket to get out of class. They have to answer a question or something.
Yeah, yep.
Like a formative assessment.
Yep. It's just a quick little assessment. You can write a question on the board and have kids write with a pen and paper and pass in the answer to that question, or you can use a tool like Google Forms, or you can use a tool like Socrative to have an exit ticket. I love exit tickets in the classroom, because a lot of times learners who are hesitant to ask a question a second time, or maybe even they asked it once, but the second time they still didn't get it, and they feel really, really dumb the third time around, and they just don't want to ask those questions in front of the whole class. It can be embarrassing, or some kids are just shy. And excuse me when I say kids, I'm just always used to saying kids from working in the public school system. Your kids are just bigger kids, or your students. I love using tools like this for dipsticking. For example, a concrete use might be, I'm teaching some math skills, and before I move on with algebraic expressions, I need to make sure that all of my students have a solid understanding of the order of operations. I might give a little 3-question quiz with a couple of math equations and have them do that. And based on the information that I get back from this quick dipstick into student knowledge as a pre-assessment, it might guide me and say, okay, you know what? This class is pretty solid with that. I can move on with instruction. Or, you know what? Half the students are struggling with this. I think a little review might be in order. Or maybe just about everybody's fine, but there just might be 1 or 2 students that I can target on the side later. But I'm going to move on in general. So that's like dipsticking. Discussion starters. Sometimes when you have a poll, or these things, when you say it's an assessment, when we think of an assessment, we think of having a correct answer. It's multiple choice, and the correct answer is B, or it's true or false, and the answer is true. We can set up questions that there isn't necessarily a set correct answer. If we set it up as a quiz, there might be it, but if we're just using it as a discussion starter, we might have a question, throw something out there, something controversial, true or false. and trigger a debate and a discussion in the class. So those are a lot of different ways that we can use these tools. It's not always about giving a quiz or taking a test. So that's what I love about using these type of tools. So, get it. Socrative.com, and there's the link. There is a lot. You can take a minute and go there, sign up for an account, or come back later and just kind of go along for the ride now. But that's where you can get the tool. And there's a little link right here, get an account. You also see that with many of these platforms, you'll see a link to sign in with Google. If you do have a Google account, you can use that as an identity tool, just like a lot of times you might be going somewhere on the web and it'll say sign in with Facebook, and it will use your Facebook username and password. You can do the same thing with Google. Just to get a quick gauge for people in the class here right now, just for my curiosity, how many people do have a Google account? Just awesome.
Is that the same as Gmail?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
it's only that particular application.
So
Fine,
if
yes.
you can set up and you can create a Google account without creating a Gmail address, but if you signed up for Gmail, you automatically have a Google account. How many people actively use Google Drive for their personal and daily work and stuff? How many people in the room who are teaching right now actively have Google Apps in their domain at an organizational level? Anybody? Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So you can sign in with Google if you want to. But you'll have to get the account first, and then you'll choose, do you want to set up your own username and password, or do you want to use Google as your identifier? You can go to Socrative. So when you go to Socrative.com, you'll see your interface. I pulled up a lot of different tabs here, and this is it's a little nerve-wracking because we were told we can't bring any of our own technology. So when I came into the room, I saw the beautiful shiny laptop in the middle, and I always like to sit in the middle. I never like to sit like over on the side behind a desk. It just bothers me. So I came in, and Tiffany, I didn't know that Tiffany had this set up for live streaming, so I walk up, I sign into Chrome, I make sure that everything's all set, and so I messed up her computer a little bit, and then I was told I had to sign in over here. So I had to sign in over here, and we'll see how things work. There is no guarantee that things will work 100% as expected this morning, because not my computer, not my network. I signed into Chrome on somebody else's computer. Does everybody understand the difference between signing into Chrome and signing into your Google account? So right here, if you look, and we'll just before because a lot of the things that I'm going to show you or some of the things are going to be dependent on signing into Chrome. So Chrome is my web browser, just like Firefox is a browser and Internet Explorer is a browser. I consider that my vehicle to get me on the internet and drive me to the websites that I want to go to. My browser of choice is Chrome because I'm a Google fangirl. So if I look in the upper right corner here, you'll see that Chrome, my Chrome browser, has, and I find it a little blurry, but unfortunately I can't focus the projector. But right up here, it says Leanne MSD, because that's my profile for my Manchester School District account. And to sign into Chrome, I clicked the triple bars over here, which gets me to all my settings and history and all that stuff. And if I look at my settings, right now it says disconnect your Google account because I connected my Chrome account to this browser here on this computer. When I leave here, and at work, of course, I just stay connected. And the reason I do that is you'll notice on my bookmarks bar, that I have a lot of things bookmarked that I use on a daily basis. I also have a lot of extensions here. Does anybody use extensions? A little bit. I don't see a lot of nodding. So that's good, because I'm going to expose you to extensions today. And extensions add additional functionality to your web browser. And you might notice, and if you didn't sign in to Chrome on your computer that you have access to at work, and you go home, but you might bookmark something. You just might bookmark something locally, but you're not signed in. But then you go home and you pull up the same Chrome browser, but it's not bookmarked on your computer at home. You say, so you find yourself bookmarking here, bookmarking there, adding extensions here, adding extensions there. If you sign into Chrome, whatever bookmark I add to Chrome at home or at work, lo and behold, I come to a computer that I've never touched before, and all of my bookmarks and all of my extensions are there. So that's signing into Chrome as a user, which is different than going to google.com or drive.google.com or gmail.com and signing in to my Google account. I still need to sign into my Google account because that's just another web address that I go to. So let's go here, back here. Okay. So I have a tab pulled up with Socrative. And, hang on, I just got to go back and see. Yeah. Note this right here, 25826. Okay? So, this is what you need to do on whatever device you're on, a laptop, your Chromebook, your iPad. Go to Socrative.com, and when you go there, choose Student Login. And that number right there. I'm going to pull this over here.
That number is just for today's.
That's my number. When I, as a teacher, go to Socrative.com, I log in as a teacher, and I have a room number. So the beauty of this is that I can just run it without even setting up a class roster that really is going to be used for giving tests and assessments. I can just use this as a quick poll tool, an exit ticket tool, a dipsticking tool, and I can create things, and you're going to go to my room. So has anybody gone and signed into my room yet? All right, let me go back and see if I can pull up my soccer we have here. Here we go. Short answer. No. Let's do this. True, false. Yes. All right, true, false. All right, so my question is, I am really confused. True or false? Go ahead. If you signed into my class, and there's my number up there. Oh, look. So many students answered. Now I have 11 students answered. Maybe somebody doesn't. Most everybody has something with them. If you don't have something with you, that's fine. But let's look here. So somebody's a little bit confused, but most people are not truly confused. That's just a quick poll. You have students go to Socrative.com. I'm not typing a question that students are seeing. I'm just saying verbally. Okay, who's confused? True or false? I'm really confused. All right, it's great that the answer is false. Most people are not truly confused about this. Let's try another question. All right. With A being 1 and E being 5, on a scale of 1 to 5, and 5 being super duper most comfort level, how comfortable would you feel signing up for a Socrative account. All right, and we see the poll working its way. Head-to-head race, 7 out of 10 students have answered, 8 out of 10 students have answered. All right, so most people would feel pretty comfortable going to Socrative.com, signing in as a teacher, and you get your little room number, and it's that easy to just use these quick tools. Okay, and yes, a question.
Would you use this so that it's visually being displayed to the whole class at the time so they have a sense too, or not? Or
Yes.
it might depend upon.
Yeah, that's a good question. So would I visually display this in the class with students? It depends.
Yeah, I would think.
It depends, and it's like you can, you don't have to. If you think that whatever you're doing that people would feel upset. But again, this
That's right.
it's not.
Realize
There
it's
are no
enormous, so,
names
yeah.
attached to this. Yes.
So when I first signed in, you hadn't done the true-false question yet, and I got a different set of questions. Can you only have one, like, poll or question running at a single time in your classroom?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure if I can answer that right off the top of my head, because when I went to start the true-false question, it said, oh, you already have an activity running.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to start another one? And I said, yes. So I guess you can. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's just looking quickly at that quick question thing. So I'm going to go back, because there are different levels of using technology. Just like, and I'll use that reading analogy again, a student needs to learn to read. They first need to learn their letters, actually before they even learn their letters, there's phonemic awareness. And then we start to that visual representation of letters representing sounds, and then putting them together and making words, and then making sentences, and then reading paragraphs, and then reading for understanding. So, and it's the same thing with using technology. So, learning my alphabet, that's a simple activity. Using this quick response thing is wicked easy. But there's a deeper level to using this that's a little more complex. And that's where I get back to that picture where I said, I'm going to show you some ideas, and you'll say, oh, yeah, I can do that easy part. But if you want to dig deeper, you'll need to put your garden gloves on and get your trowel and start digging and poke around in the interface, and it's trial and error. And remember, you can always fail, but it's never okay to not try. But it's okay if you try and you don't succeed the first time. You just try again and say, okay, you know what? I gotta figure this out and dig a little deeper. And then I'm going to show you something too about looking for help in all of these tools. It's very, very, very easy to find answers to questions that you have. So let's go to quizzes. Let's look here. So I went to my top menu, and I can create a quiz, and I can import a quiz. I don't import anything because I don't create anything in Excel and bring it. I just go in and create quizzes here. I'm going to look at my quizzes and see if, oh, there's an example of my order of operations quiz. Let me have a look at that and edit it. And this is what I was talking about with dipsticking. So I've got, that thing that I always remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, if anybody teaches math and the order of operations, paragraphs, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract, or subtract, add, whatever it is. But I put my question here, and then I put in what the answer is. And this is not just like an opinion question. There is one correct answer for this type of question. And then I can also put an explanation. So when the student goes back and sees the quiz or puts in the answer, or if they got it wrong, it'll say, oh, remember, parentheses first, then multiply. So that's just what it looks like, how I set this question up. And there's another one, explanation, multiply first, then add, parentheses first, multiply, finally add, because this one was more complex. And I can just give that as an assessment quick to see if students have a solid understanding of the order of operations.
Excuse me, this is
Yep.
just a visual. I don't know if other people feel, for me, I think I would prefer to have more subdued lighting in terms of the overhead lights or something to see the screen better.
Oh, you know
Better.
what? Let's go look and see.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'll be right back, people.
Okay.
I agree. How's that?
That's better
yeah.
for me. Anyone, is that better for others?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is everybody okay with that? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for speaking up. And I know for me, I've got like really bad eyes, and if things are washed out or too bright, yeah, that is much better. And it's too bad that you can't turn on just this half.
Yes, I know.
You can only turn on the front half, and it just happens to be the half that's right in front of the screen. All right. So if I wanted to launch a quiz and have you take my quiz, launch menu and launch order of operations, and right here I can see whether or not I want to disable names, use it or not. I haven't added any kids to this class. I'm just doing everything in anonymous mode. I can do it, when I do this order of operations quiz, I can do it that it's teacher paced. And what that means is that I go from question to question. Okay, I'm going to leave question 1 up here, and I'll see that, 8 out of 10 students have responded, but it's getting to be time. You know what? I'm going to go to the next question, and then I'll go to the next question. Or I can have it student-paced. Let's do a student-paced one, and I'm going to start this just so you can take my order of operations quiz. And so if you are at Socrative.com and you go to my room, which is 25826, you can take that quiz. I won't show any names. Let's see if anybody has taken. But you see how the answer, like things start to fill in and everything is anonymous. And I can see. Now this might be an instance where I do not have the quiz pulled up on the screen. Why not?
Oh, well, obviously you would, if they're doing it right then, you wouldn't want the
Yeah,
answers to
this
be-
is just to demonstrate what it looks like, so you see what it looks like when the teacher is doing it. But yeah, if kids can see, but for me as a teacher, I see, okay, just about everybody's got a solid understanding of that one. Let's pretend this is all filled in. I say, okay, with this one, we got a little more trouble with the exponents. That might be just one part that I'll review with students. And you don't have to finish the quiz. This is not about math. This is just about using this tool. Pretty cool?
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So, and that's just a taste of it. Let me see what I have. Oh, stuck. No problem. This is back in my slides again. So, let me see where that is over here. Let me go back to my. Oh, I don't see help here. Quiz. I can clear the room and kick you all out if I want to. I think I'll do that. I'll clear the room. Yep. All right, get out of here. Get out of that room. Where was I when I took this screenshot?
I think that.
Right here. Yep, here I am. And it took me a minute to find that because some of them on the side, some of them have it in the upper right, some of them you have to click on your username and there's a drop down, but usually, not 100% of the time, but very often, the upper right corner is a good place to look for things that you might be looking for. And right next to my name, I clicked the drop down. That's where I would go to sign out. And I do just like to, anytime you're using technology, is always sign out of all of your online accounts and encourage students to sign out of their online accounts when they're using technology in your classrooms. What happens a lot in our schools, and I sit on the email compliance filter in our school district, and we just had a case this past Thursday or Friday where students left a computer lab and they did not sign out of their Gmail accounts, and then some 8th graders came in and sent some pretty nasty email as those users. Of course, I busted the users who didn't sign out and referred that email to their principal. Come to find out, though, it wasn't them, it's just they didn't sign out of their accounts. And it was somebody else who logged in as them. So take security very seriously. I always throw that into anytime I'm using technology with people. Always make sure you sign out when you're done. But there's the help file right there. Help. Getting started, launch it, rooms, reports, how to do all these things, select a category or search. It's really, really easy to find answers to the questions that you might have about using Socrative. How do I create an exit ticket? You won't believe how easy this is, and that's one of the things that I forgot how to do, and I went into help and I said, oh, how do I create the exit ticket? So I'll leave that to you to find. And I just went into search, exit, ticket, deliver an exit ticket. That's how easy it is to find the answer to a question you might have. And I love exit tickets at the end of class. I just love exit tickets because it drives where you pick up the next time you meet with your students. Let me scroll down these slides a little bit. All right, so everybody good with Socrative? Let me just check the time. Okay. Here we go with video response and reflection. This is a different tool. Let me go here. I'm going to sign out of Socrative. Yep. And close that tab. And I'm here in another tool called Recap. And I'm logged in right now. And I had a little bit of trouble with this tool. And I haven't used it a whole lot. But I recommend it to people to explore. And what's really, really neat about it is it allows your students to record a video response to a question that you put out there. And I had a question prepared for everybody, but I chose a wrong expiration date and my question was expired, so I had to recreate it this morning, and then I couldn't record. But then I thought, oh, I can pull up my other recap that was expired and I can duplicate it. And I found all that through help. And this one has help in a very obvious location on the right sidebar. So I'm going to pass out names to you if you have technology with you. And I'll let you be Jerry, you can be Benoit, you can be Fabiana, you can be Kristen.
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Recap. So just hang on to your recap. Oh, okay. Yep, right there. Just hang on to your recap persona. And did you have something with you to use? You can try it if you like. And if we have our, oh, Lewis was my dummy one that I was using before. And if we have the person online, if they would like to log in as Agatha. All right. So just hang on to your personas for a little bit, because I have a room number that you will go to log in as a student. So you see, using these tools, what's really, really easy is that for the most part, students don't need to remember a username and password. You have your room number. Let's notice a pattern here. I've got a room number in Socrative. I have a room number in, or a class pin they call it, in Recap, and you'll just go to the URL and enter that room number, and I've got you set up in there. So let's look and see what Recap is. Oops. To get it, you go to letsrecap.com, and when you go there, you'll see that it is in beta. It's not a full-fledged developed version. They put this tool out there, and they're still working on it a little bit. So, but right now, I think it's pretty cool, and it's worth trying once or twice in class. And I think what the value of this does is that it lets you, as the teacher, you can say, okay, I'm going to limit the students to a 30-second response, or I'm going to limit them to a 1-minute response. It really forces that thinking of summarizing and really pulling out the key ideas and elements of what you're looking for. So it's kids can't log in and just ramble and ramble and ramble. They've got to have a clear, concise statement because they only have 30 seconds to deliver their message, if that's the time that you set. So let's look a little bit what it is. It's a free video response system and reflection app. It provides evidence of student thinking, and it builds reflective practice. It supports personalized learning. And again, I think one of the bullets I didn't put is that it really makes you hone that skill. So when you go to Recap as a teacher, you go in, you add a class, you add students, and you add a recap. So a recap is a question that you will formulate for students to respond to via video. So let's just look and see what it looks like. I've got a couple screenshots here, and then we'll go to the live recap, and we'll try having you go enter that room as students again. So I'm in my account. There I am in my account, and you can see I'm going to add a class, and I added demo class. And there's my slide. 2, add students. And you can see right here, there's a students tab. And you just keep adding students. And at first, just because I was setting up a dummy class, I had numbers. Student 1, student 2, student 3, student 4. And when I went to log in afterwards, you can see that both student 15 and student 14 have S1. And because it's pulling the first initial of each student's name. So I said, oh, that's too confusing. How could I fix this? And these are the things that I did with trial and error as a teacher going in. And I made alphabet, so I had names in alphabetical order: Agatha, Benoit, Carla, and Dragan. And so everybody has a letter. When you log in as a student, you'll see it. And then I go to create my question and add a recap. So let's see what comes next there. So there is my room number for you to log into Recap. So I have already gone in as a teacher, and I created that, and you should see 2 recaps in there. One of them might have a video, and one of them, where my video wasn't working, you still see the question, and you can go in and record. So this might get a little noisy at this part. If you want to go in and try to record a response to my question, please feel free to do that. So I'll put my room number up here. Let's look at the URL. So what you will need to type into the address bar of your web browser, right up here, in the address bar is letsrecap.com/classpin. And when you'll get there, It says, how do you want to log in? With the username and password or with a PIN. So we'll just do it with the PIN. And it's that RYYAKFL. All right.
So for me, it says I have to download the app.
Oh,
Yeah, mobile, you need the
yeah,
app.
okay. That's if you're on an iPad,
Okay.
and that happened to me too. Yep. So if you're on the iPad, is anybody with a laptop or a Chromebook like to demonstrate that? Going to that room.
I'm there.
Okay. All
I
right.
clicked on my icon and I've got the question.
Okay. So let's I wonder if there's a way that I could show you. Because I was assuming that everybody would be bringing something with, you know.
You can open another tab on there.
Yes, I can. The thing is, if I go here, I'm going to log out. I'm going to log out as a teacher, and I'm going to go in as a student.
You know what, I'm signed in both as a teacher and as a student.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll go in as a student so you can see what this, and I think caps lock is on this keyboard here.
But will it work also on the app?
Yes, it will work on the app, but that's the thing with mobile devices, is that you'll need to get that app.
Okay.
And let me sign in. There. So this is what the student sees, and those are all those little tickets that I handed out for you to log in and choose your name. I don't think I handed out a Jennifer, so I'll pick Jennifer.
Yeah, I'm Jennifer.
Oh, you're Jennifer? Okay.
She's on an iPad.
All right, you're on an iPad, so that's fine, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So this is the one where my video wasn't working, that you don't see me on the other, and I'll show you the other recap that does have my video. But if you just type a question and don't record a video, the student can read this and respond. So based on what you've seen so far, do you feel these tools can support learners in your classroom? Why or why not? Give me your summary in 30 seconds, because that's the limit I set for this. The student would click respond.
But this one says
Oh,
no response.
do you follow what it says on your name tag? This one says no response.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's not get too worried
All
about
right.
that. And I see here, and I tested this back and forth at computer. I was logged in, you know, as me, and I actually have two different personas in my Chrome browser, because some of these things were dependent on my account and being logged in. So it might be that I can't even answer as a student right now, and I was logged into my Gmail account in one and my school account in the other, so that I could be two separate personas. And that's the difficulty with demonstrating some of these things, is because I can't be the teacher and the student at the same time. So what I said again was that I'm going to expose you to some tools. Some are very simple and easy. You saw how wicked awesome Socrative was. It's just go in and do it. And those quick responses, very, very easy. Recap is a little more complex. So I'm going to leave recap at that, so that we can move on to some of the other things. But just know that this is a tool that is absolutely worth responding to and looking into it. I'm not even sure on this computer if the microphone is set up and the video camera is set up, and that could be why I'm seeing these funny little things here, because I should see like a pink record button, and then it starts counting down, 3, 2, 1, boom, and then it starts recording, and the student gives their response. What does happen after the student gives their response? You can review it, the student can review it and say, turn it in, or re-record. So just know that you can do that, and I see some people nodding. Now we'll take a couple questions.
I have a couple of questions. First, these are free apps?
Yes.
And are those attached to the Google Chrome or your Google account, or your Google account attached to Google
They are not
Chrome?
attached, they are
They're
not
not
attached to
okay.
your Google account. They are not part of Google services.
You have
These
to
are,
have Google Chrome.
these are third-party apps. So this is the thing, both Recap and Socrative, you can use that with Firefox. You can use that with Google Chrome, if you like Internet Explorer, if you like Safari. You don't have to have the Chrome browser for that. Some of the things that I'll show you at the end when we talk about extensions, and most people don't really use a lot of extensions based on our initial chat before we got started this morning. So I will expose you to that. That is browser dependent, because my bookmarks or my extensions are attached to this particular browser. So I'm going to leave Recap for now and just show you here, if you have questions, there's the help right on the side there. And here's another me and you thing. So this is something that you might or might not be aware of that is a feature in Google. So there are a lot of little text-to-speech widgets or on your in your browser or on your computer. There are accessibility options that let you do text-to-speech. And your browser or your computer or program will read what is in front of you. But the other way around, what are the options for speech to text? Has anybody used any speech to text tools? Has anybody heard of Dragon?
Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So Dragon is the premier speech to text engine, but it comes with a price tag, and you have to train it, and it takes a little bit of setup to use it. If anybody uses Google Docs as their productivity tool, or if your learners have a Google or Gmail account, you might or might not know that this feature is available in Google Docs. And it is speech to text. And it's not perfect, but it is what it is. And it can get, and you have to practice, and I was practicing, and I've seen other people demonstrate it, and it like, they're so used to using it that its translation is, and typing ability is very accurate. I tend to start sentences and go somewhere else down another path, so it gets a little confusing. So again, it can be a tool to train you cognitively to really formulate in your head what you are going to say before you say it, so that Google can type it correctly when you're saying it. So just for that alone, it's a really good practicing tool. So it's, and that's just like on the side that I'm just saying, it can really help you formulate your thoughts. So let's have a look and see what it looks like. Let's go to the next slide. So I put a, and I love Google support, because anything that you're looking to do in Google, you just type it and they come up with an answer. And if you see that it is support.google.com in the address that answers your question, that is the official link from Google. If you type in a question about Google and you see that it says productforums.google.com or something like that, that is a discussion board where other people are asking other users in the community, hey, has like, because it might be a question that Google hasn't answered, or it might be a feature that is not available. If the feature is not available, there won't be an official Google support document on it. So whenever I'm looking for anything Google, I always look for support.google.com to be in the address of the URL that I pull up. So you can read that. And if you go to this page with voice typing, you will see that it has related articles on the side, and that's why I pulled up this screenshot. And that's very blurry, and unfortunately we can't fix the projector because it's up on the ceiling and I don't have a remote for it, but it gives you accessibility features for Google Doc editors. I'll just read a couple of them off. Work with Google Doc editors in a screen reader. For those people who have low vision, it will read what's on the screen. Oh, is there a remote up here? Yeah, do you want to work on focusing for me, please, while I just continue over here? That's awesome. Thank you. Accessibility in docs for Android, accessibility in docs for iPhone and iPad. Use a braille display to read and enter. Type with your voice and making your documents accessible. Is it getting any clearer? Yeah.
You can open this up on down here. Is this the same?
All right.
I could if I went there. I didn't go there.
So let me
I was just
go.
trying to make that more clear.
I'm gonna log out of
Oh,
Rehab. Come on,
There isn't
log out.
there isn't a focus
Close
button
that tab.
I see. This is the remote for that projector.
to that.
Oh.
Well, I can definitely zoom.
Zoom it out.
All right. I'm in my Google Drive, and you can see my Google Drive is full of stuff. I mean, I just use Google Drive for everything that I do. I'll open a new doc. Does everybody know how to navigate to Google Docs and open a Google Doc? Oh, for the thing. All right, let me go back. Let's start in Gmail, because Gmail is a nice, is everybody familiar with Gmail? Pretty much. And this is my waffle in the upper right corner. Again, upper right corner is always a good place to look for things that you need. And I was at a tech conference on Google in August or July, and I heard somebody call this the waffle.
Okay.
And I really like that.
Yeah.
Has anybody heard it called that before?
No.
And
Look at the tiles.
so whenever to go to the, that's actually your apps launcher. So if I click that, it is my apps launcher, and it opens all of my Google apps in my Google account and even more and even more. I mean, there are 70 or 80 Google apps that you may or may not have access to, depending on whether or not you're logged into a personal account or an organizational account. A question?
Yes, I'm thinking specifically of a man that I'm working with on literacy skills, and he does have some literacy, but certainly not to the point that he is feeling confident to be able to apply for a driver's license and blah, blah, blah. So is there within Google then something that the student could go and get some text and then have the thing read it aloud to him as he's looking at and following along and stop and pause like
Yes, yes. So the very next thing when we finish this speech to text is going to be looking at some text to speech options.
Okay.
Okay, and that will be browser dependent. And we'll start talking about extensions. And then the next two apps that I'll show you are specifically for Chrome. But accessibility features you can get for both Chrome and Firefox. I didn't search for Internet Explorer. If you're interested, you can do that search yourselves. But just so to be aware that there are tools out there. Again, I'm giving you some ideas, and you dig and follow the path that makes sense for you and for your students. So I click the waffle. I used to say it's the apps launcher. People would say, what's that? I don't know what the apps launcher is. Oh, it looks like a 9-square grid icon in the upper right corner. And that was just like so long, but it's like waffle. There we go. So there's Gmail, there's Google Drive. Google Drive is my house where all of my other Google Docs live. Docs is for word processing, Sheets is for spreadsheets, Slides is for presentations. So those are the analogies to Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and they live in my drive. I can go to my Google Drive, and again, my waffle follows me. My waffle follows me when I'm at that top level. Once I open a document and I'm in a document, my waffle disappears. And I have to get back to that area where I'm in the top level of the app. But when I'm in my drive, I can create a new doc, sheet, or slide, and even more. And not all of these things are native to Google. A lot of these things I added to Google. If I scroll down even more, and maybe if I bring my browser up, whoops, you can see where it says connect more apps. And it's not showing up on here, but at the bottom. I can add apps to my Google Drive. I can edit photos directly in my Google Drive. I can create brochures. Is anybody familiar with Microsoft Publisher for creating? And it costs money.
Yes, right.
Yeah, but if you want a really great desktop publishing tool, go to your Google Drive and look for the app Lucid Press. There it is, right there, this one. Lucid Press is a great desktop publishing program. And I was able to convince our school district communications coordinator, who was using some kind of fancy pants paid tool, say, hey, use Google Lucid Press, it's free. And it's in your Google Drive, or you can connect it. You can go to lucidpress.com and create an account, but why do that and have yet another username and password? Go to Google Drive and look under more and add more apps, search for it. And it is a little scary when you add an app to your Google Drive for the very first time, because it will say, hey, Lucid Press wants to see your email address, access your docs and folders, and blah, 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 blah. And say yes, it's okay.
Can you explain why it's okay?
Yes. So these tools to get into Google have been vetted by Google. And all of these apps, and then if you're in Docs or Sheets, they have things called add-ons. Has anybody heard of add-ons? And again, they add functionality, additional functionality to the basic tools that you're using. Because you've got the basic Google Docs, but then you say you want to do this, or you've got Google Forms, but you can't cap the capacity or the number of people that can sign up. You can add an add-on called Form Limiter and say, once we hit 25 people, automatically close my form. That's additional functionality that is not available in the basic versions. So a long time ago, there used to be this thing called Script Gallery for Google. And you could go in and you could get these scripts that third-party individuals had written, and anybody could add a script to Google. So you would go to the script library, and for example, you'd be looking for Flugaroo, which is an awesome add-on for sheets and forms, because you can create assessments, and it will automatically, when kids use that, it will automatically send a response back to the students with their score, and then some. Pretty cool stuff. But back in the day, and then I used to tell people, it's okay to say yes and add Flugaroo, because I know people who have used it, I know the developer who developed it. It's a safe tool that is widely used in education. But be very careful when you're in the script gallery, because if you go in and add any other scripts, I can't guarantee that all scripts in the script gallery are going to be safe and don't contain any malicious code. Fast forward numbers of years after the script gallery, Google has add-ons. add-ons, that you can add these types of items directly to Google Drive. You can look in a sheet and add add-ons. You can look in a doc or a form and have these add-ons and find them. But to get your add-on into the add-on library in Google, it must be vetted. So you need to submit your code to Google. If you're a developer, you submit your stuff to Google. They review it. They'll try it out. They might say, hey, there's a couple rough edges here. They'll send it back to you, and you need to perfect it. When they say, yep, it's ready for prime time, your tool can be added to the add-ons library. So Google reviews everything that comes in. It's not just that anybody can go in and say, hey, use my tool, or here's my script. Add it to your spreadsheet. So, yes.
To continue with that question, when Google invites me to sign in through Google, I often hear allow us to access all of your contacts. And so then I get out of that.
Yeah.
So
That was really my question.
Yeah. What?
Like all your Gmail contacts. I draw the line.
And it all depends what tool you're using, because it might need that for functionality. Because there's a lot of tools that I use for mail merge and other things. So it might need to connect to your contacts, or it might need to connect to your account. And a lot of these things, like LucidPress, it creates a folder in your Google Drive. And some of the other tools that I'll show you, it creates folders so that you can go back and it'll save the things to your drive for you. But let's save the questions for afterwards, or if you have specific questions, you can email me afterwards. But I want to show you the speech to text. Let's try it. Anyhow, I had the path from the waffle to my Google Drive, and from Google Drive, I can go to Google Docs. I can also go from my Google Drive just to Docs, but I just like the Google Drive interface better. Some of you might go here to your Docs and then find your stuff here, because you're only working in Docs. That's just the only difference. One contains all, this one is just directly. So, where does that live? I'm going to click Tools on the top menu. Pretty obvious. The thing with the voice typing icon. Let's try it out and see if, and you know what? I'm not even sure if this has a microphone or not. If it doesn't, we'll say, I know where it is, and I'll go try it for myself another time. I don't get hung up about technology that doesn't work. I'll just say, this is where it is. Let's just try it. Voice typing. What do I do? Click to speak. Oh, Google Docs can't turn on your microphone. Not my computer. So it'll say, do you allow Google to use your computer, to use your microphone? And you'll say yes. And there will be little helpful pop-ups along the way. Oh, and you're not seeing this over here. What I'm seeing on my computer. On my computer, I've got my, oh, there it is. It's kicking in. I've got that icon, and not
I
my,
have the Wizard of Oz over
Sorry.
here. You can now, we're now
yeah, no problem, no problem. And a lot of time, and that happens to me all the time. I'm looking at the screen and I'm seeing what I'm seeing, but it's like, oh no, I forgot to switch tabs, and I'm still talking about the stuff that I was in the previous tab. But at any rate, not my equipment. Try this out. It's a cool tool. Know that it's there and give it a whirl. So I'm going to close that. And again, I almost expected something like this to happen, and I was a little bit nervous because I use my Chromebook for everything that I do, and it's like I had to let it go. And even Tiffany, I said, Tiffany, can we really not use our, and I'm thinking, oh, you know what, I can just like undo this wire and like plug the VGA cable into my Chromebook. And my Chromebook is not just wireless. My Chromebook actually also has like an internet port, so I mean, I wouldn't have to worry, or I could create a Wi-Fi hotspot on my phone. I practiced doing that this morning, but then I said, no, you know what, I'll play ball, and I'll follow the rules today, and I'll use a stranger's technology for my presentation. Just let it go, Leanne. It'll be good. So it happened. We can't access the microphone. No big deal. Let's move on. Just know it's there. Okay? This is all about not pushing every button, but exposing you to the ideas. All right? Let me see. Where did my presentation go? There it is. All right, so let's go here. And text to speech. So let your browser do the talking. Exploring extensions and add-ons for Firefox and Chrome. And, oops, and I clicked this extension right here. I want to get rid of that one. There. Whoops. There. All right. This is something that I get a lot of questions from a lot of people, and sometimes the answers are very, very obvious, and it's like, why do they think, a lot of people think I'm Google, and I am not Google. I'm Leanne. I use Google when I use Google when I need to ask a question. And if you ever see my email tagline is something about, I'm not an expert, I'm just curious. I search for answers for everything. And sometimes when people send me a very, very obvious question, I send it back through, let me Google that for you.com. Oh. Let me Google that for you. Chrome, extension, accessibility, and I won't do this. I have another one that I actually have the link to a Google thing, but right here, it's showing the add-ons for Firefox. So if I use the Firefox browser, oh, it is doing it. There it goes. Firefox. Oh, this one was for the text-to-speech. I've got another one of these for the accessibility at the end of the thing. So Firefox, text-to-speech. So, and it gives me a list of things. And I'll send people a link to my search, showing them that they could just as easily have done it themselves. So there's one. And this just brings you to all of these text-to-voice add-ons, text-to-speech, Google add-ons for Firefox, plugins for Firefox. And get rid of that. Oh, no, go back here. I've got I've got not only tabs open, but windows open. Same thing for the Google one. Oh, and I see I have a mistake here. I copied my Firefox twice, but I did the same thing for Chrome. So what that looks like is let me see if I have an extension up here. Convert text to speech. So right here, it looks like a little speaker with some speech waves coming out of it. Let me see if I can go, let's just pull up, for example, CNN.com. And I just need to find I'm just gonna pick any link. I don't even know what I'm clicking on. I'm going to highlight some text. And I'll click my text-to-speech. And I'm not even sure if this is hooked up to speakers. But it looks like it's having a hard time finding the speakers, just like it. And I'm not going to get hung up, but just know that you can add a little button to your browser. Highlight text and click that little button that you know is working on your computer, and it will read that text to you. Okay? So that's pretty cool stuff. All right, so pause and think. And we've got about 15 minutes left, and that's good because I have 2 videos I want to show you. But before I do that, and move to just some extensions for general accessibility. Like you had said, oh, gee, you know, the lights are shining right on there. Sometimes people need that yellow background with the black text because it makes it more readable, because the white on black is too high contrast, and I get very sensitive to it. But I found this, and there's a nice little link here to somebody's blog post, and it's growth mindset for educators using technology. So let's just look at some of these questions and come back to this and ask yourself, when you're using technology, about whether or not it's going to be worth using it in the classroom. Because we don't want to use technology just for technology's sake. We use technology for a purpose because it supports a very specific learner need, or it supports thinking and guides students to concisize and summarize their thoughts, or it does something for you as a productivity tool. As a teacher, you can use it to drive. And this is kind of very low contrast here, but when using technology, ask yourself these questions. Will it impact learning? Can I ask a colleague? So if I'm using this tool and I find I run into a dead end, is there somebody next door that I can not say, hey, can you help me out with this? That's what I love about, you know, when things, it's domino effect down the hall at school. Somebody starts using it, is comfortable with it, and then, you know, the neighbor tries it, and then their neighbor tries it, and then and before you know it, everybody is using these cool tools in the classroom. Can I approach it differently? And just thinking about that, when I was looking at that, let's recap. No. If the Google in the Google Docs, that's not even really an intended use of forcing someone to gather their thoughts before they start speaking and writing. It's really, really difficult to get a continuous stream of speech out where you don't stop and pause and then change and break your sentence in the middle and then keep talking about something else. It's to formulate a sentence from beginning to end. That's a great tool to practice with, and it's not even one of the intended uses of it. But I'm saying, hey, we could do that in the classroom. Is it worth the effort? We saw that Socrative was very, very easy to use. The recap is a little more difficult, as well as the next two tools that I'm going to show you after this, but I'm going to expose you to them and you can decide. Try and try again. If it doesn't work the first time, look for those help files. Is the answer on Twitter? Or I love this one. Oh no. Have you tried Google? I thought there was one. Is there a yeah. Find a tutorial on YouTube. YouTube is my favorite place to go. If I can't get a question answered, I'm like, oh, it's got to be on YouTube. And I'll go there. And there are short, concise answers for just about everything that you want to know. So can I find an answer of somebody demonstrating this on YouTube? Yep. Or have you identified the problem? Ask a student digital leader. So if there are individuals in your class, be it public school, K-12, or adult learners, there might be somebody sitting in your class who can help you out. As a teacher, a lot of times, and what I advise teachers to do when they're using technology in the classroom is that the teachers themselves get very, very nervous about using the technology. But you know what? Just show the kids, and they will run with it. You don't have to be the expert. You can let it go. And you can see that I failed a couple of times today. It's okay. I don't think you guys got too upset about that. We just moved on. So these are good questions to ask when you're looking at technology. Speaking of growth, and I love so that was a nice segue from that growth mind. Is anybody familiar with Carol Dweck and her fixed mindset, growth mindset. Awesome, awesome reading. I love edweb.net. Has anybody ever done any of their webinars? They are awesome. And I'm just throwing that out there for you to explore. And when you go, it says it's a K through 12 professional learning community, but they have topics for English learners, they have topics for teaching math, they have communities for literacy learning, they have communities for digital citizenship, they have communities for technology. The webinars are very well organized. I've watched many, 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 and only once the speaker was kind of like, you know what? You could tell it was probably the first time she ever did it, and it was not really very smooth, and I've seen better. But for the most part, I'd say 99 out of 100 of their webinars are really awesome. And every time you attend one of their live webinars, let me see if I can just even go here. Come on. While I'm talking, and just show you some of the communities that they have. The webinars, you get a certificate time, and they'll email it to you if you attend the live webinar. If you can't attend the live webinar when it is scheduled, sign up and register for it anyhow, because after the webinar, they'll send you a link to the recording. If you view the recording, you can still get a PD certificate. How do they do that? They give you a little 4 questions, multiple choice at the end of the webinar, and you answer them, and they send you the certificate. But if you look at all of the topics that they have, it is just awesome. Brain-based learning, blended learning, digital portfolios, early childhood learning solutions, arts and music. And a lot of if it says early learning, sometimes when I was in ESL, I would and if I was working with older learners, I would take the approaches. Some of the things that early learners or early readers need to go through to read for the very first time, need to go through that sequential phonemic awareness, letter recognition, sight words, building sentences, building paragraphs, becoming a fluent reader. They need to go through that ladder, and you can't miss one of those rungs on the ladder. If you do, you can't become a fluent reader. So some of these techniques might be useful for you in the classroom as well. Building understanding in mathematics, just great, great communities, and lots of awesome webinars for your own professional growth. All right, I had to stick that one in there because I just love it. And let's see, fluency. So these are some tools that are freemium or free trial. So freemium means that you can get a free account that's just got the basics, but if you want to pay, you can upgrade and get additional features. That's this Newsela. Fluency Tutor, some of you might have heard about ReadWrite for Google Chrome, which is a great add-on that you can use, and they make it free for teachers, but I've kind of stopped promoting students to get their trial 30-day tool, because then for some reason when students want to get it, it costs $100. And I kind of ran into a thing with the Fluency Tutor for you can set up texts, and it will allow the student to read the text back to you and send you a recording, kind of like a running record, but online. Explore that one on your own. I want to focus a little more on this one. Let's just watch this YouTube video. There it is. This one's the video. Oh, you know what? There's no speakers. You know what? Not Yeah, you know what, there's and that's all right. You know what? We only have 5 minutes left. Let's not get worried about this. I will tell you the awesomeness of Newsela. Let me see if I pulled that one up over here. Yep. So I'm going to go to a library, and I'm just going to pick the first one because it's easy. And I'll take this article, and what I can do is, what they've done is they have gathered and curated articles from magazines and news sources on science, arts, culture, animals, this, that, everything. Non-fiction topics, real articles. But what they've done is they've got the original text, and then they have modified the text. And look up here how the grade level is changing. So grade level 8, word count. Grade level 6, word count. Grade level 4, word count. Grade level 2 or 3. It all depends what article it is. And you can search by grade level. But what it does is it gives your class access to the same content, but they have adjusted and differentiated the reading level and reduced the complexity of the language for struggling readers. It's really awesome. So students can also go through the same thing. Students can adjust the complexity, and that's what we always said, was that we don't want to water down the content just because we have struggling readers. So this is a really, really awesome tool. When you go in, and you can see I'm signed in, it's free, but you can start a pro trial, but then, you know, after 30 days, but the free one sticks with you. Some things, once your 30-day trial is done, too bad. You either have to buy it or lose it. But Newsela, you can at least keep using it. And I think the one of the differences is that when you go to, you can still assign an activities to students, but if you have the pro version, you can type in instructions. I can live without that. I can just tell my class, you know what, I want you to read it tonight. Done deal. When students are finished reading this article, and I'm signed in as a teacher now, but when they go in and sign in as students, they can take a comprehension quiz, or they can write. And there's a little writing prompt that will say, you know, summarize the main idea of this article, or tell about, you know, how do sunspots affect whatever, or whatever it was that you were reading. There are little activities for students to go in and interact, but the big takeaway on this is also, oh, look here, you can translate it into Spanish as well. But I love that. Everybody, no matter what their reading ability, has access to the same content. That is just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So those are pretty much almost the last two things I wanted to show you. I'm just going to go here. Extend with extensions, and there's that, let me Google that for you again. And you saw some of the extensions I have up here. I love my Diigo bookmarking tool. I'm not signed in on this computer because I just added it. I use that for all of my bookmarking, but all of these things let me do additional things right in my browser. I no longer install software on my computer. Everything is web-based. Everything is in my browser. And if you would just take a moment, I created a little connect, extend, and challenge item. You don't have to do it now. If you want to, you can. It is 12:15, and I think the workshop ends at 12:15, so I don't want to keep you any longer. But I always like to end things with, is anything that we talked about today connected to something that you already do? Then how would you extend your learning? from today to something you would do in the future? And then are there challenges for you? Is there something that was difficult? And that's just a Google form that I use. And, just connect this, because I recycle this form. This is in Google. I recycle this form, and I just swap out the session name every time I do it. It just collects it in my spreadsheet. So if you would, this is just for me, above and beyond the, what do you call it? Session evaluation, that paper that you would just fill out here. And I guess you could give this to Tiffany? Or should I give this to Robin?
Run to Robin, yeah.
Okay, all right. But if you want to leave your stuff there, I hope you enjoyed it. With and without the little failed microphones and failed speakers and things like that. But I expected that to happen. It's not my equipment. All right, good. I've got time to clean this computer up and log out of everything. Nobody's coming in here till after lunch.